like a third question I want to ask you. What ignites you, your first move towards starting a new business? Like when at the first days before launching Polly and other stories, what ignites you? Why? What was your motive to just launching a social enterprise? Although we know that you have, a lot of background in the social enterprise and non-for-profit, but specifically for Polly, what was the
why did it? I think because I was in that space and I was doing work with exactly the sort of communities that I imagined. I kept seeing this gap that we were being unable to bridge, and it made no sense to me. I would act like an ad hoc supplier. I'm wearing this scarf deliberately, of course, but things like this, I'd have them, and then I'd come back home from wherever the villages that I was working in, and everybody would want it. They'd be like, we love this, where can we get it? And nobody would know where to get it, right? And so initially, my solution was, oh, I'll get it for you, no problem. The next time I go, I'll get it for you. But then I realized, if my friends and family want this, there are other people that want this that I'm not catering to. And this is a massive opportunity for those people who are sitting in those villages, particularly the women who will, due to social cultural reasons, never be allowed to leave their homes. And this is an opportunity for income, much needed income, to reach their homes. And we already know how women spent money. 90% of it goes back to the family. It goes back to feed children. It goes back to build homes. It goes back to education. They're spending on their own health. And I think I'm talking about 2014, 15, when this really began to sort of, again, almost became a part-time thing that I was doing for people. I was this little supplier in the chain who was be like, oh, can you get us that jewelry when you next go? And then I thought, what if there was a platform where people could just get what they wanted? And it was all these incredible businesses from all across the country, whether you're remote or not. And I think it was also happening at a time when e-commerce was becoming something a little bit familiar, although I would say we were very much ahead of the curve. It didn't really take off until the last 2 or 3 years. Logistics companies were beginning to enter the space. Everybody was talking about the last mile, and people were beginning to get interested in digital payment solutions. So all these things were happening, and I thought, oh, well, here's an opportunity. For me, the trigger were definitely the women that I'd been working with. I recognized that just by the circumstances of my birth, and the opportunities I've had, I'm not smarter or more talented, certainly not at all, than the women I work with, but they just have never had any of the opportunities that I have. And what's worse still, I don't see those opportunities coming for the next generation either, unless we begin to change things. And I think over the years, and I've talked about the privilege of friendship and love from these communities, I think that is probably the biggest gift that I have received. I began to just sort of really reflect very deeply on what my role could be beyond just, oh, I'll get a scarf for a friend. I think that was kind of in my mind. And then, as I said, Zidane was born, and that was the final push that sent me over when I realized 9 to 5 isn't really going to work out for a few years.
Right.